Bonjour, salut. Yeah, I'm Parthiban. I teach French. Now, today in our class, we are going to learn how to use Passé Composé when the auxiliary verb is être. We have already learned writing Passé Composé compound sentences when the auxiliary verb is avoir. Today we are going to learn how to form sentences in Passé Composé when the auxiliary verb happens to be être. For that, I will use a PPT. Now, this is the PPT which I am going to use to teach Passé Composé. Now, before that, my name is Parthiban KK. I'm a teacher of French and English. I also teach theory of knowledge, which is one of the core subjects in IBDP, International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. I'm a content writer and I also translate. I translate from English to French and vice versa. And I also translate in other languages too. Okay, now, Passé Composé we are going to learn today. We have already learned how to write Passé Composé sentences with the avoir as the auxiliary verb. And today we are going to learn how to write compound Passé Composé sentences with être as the auxiliary verb. Before that, I would like to remind you all these things we have already learned in the previous class. Today, I would like to remind you that there are four principal compound sentences. One is passé composé, then pluscup parfait, futur anterior, and conditional passé. These are the four basic compound tenses in French. Today we are concentrating only on passé composé. Now, what is the sentence structure of a compound tense? This is also a quick reminder. First, we write the subject, then the auxiliary verb is written, and after that, the main verb is written in past participle form. Subject, auxiliary verb, and past participle of the main verb. Main verb is called main verb because that shows the action of the subject. Okay, fine now. Passé composé. This stands for, as you already know, past tense and present perfect tense in English. This also we have already learned. Now, we also have learned that there are two auxiliary verbs to be used in all the compound sentences. What are they? They are avoir and être. Okay. Writing compound sentences using avoir as the auxiliary verb, we have already learned. How do we write a passé composé sentence? This is also a quick reminder. We write the subject, then the auxiliary verb, either avoir, être, is conjugated in present tense. The present of avoir, être is used. And then the past participle of the main verb is used. In passé composé, the auxiliary verb has to be in present tense. That we have to remember. Now, when avoir is the auxiliary verb, avoir is conjugated in present tense for all the subject pronouns, then the past participle is written. D'accord. Aujourd'hui, nous apprenons comment on peut écrire une phrase en passé composé en utilisant être comme un verbe auxiliaire parce que nous avons déjà appris comment utiliser le verbe avoir comme un verbe auxiliaire et comment on peut écrire une phrase en passé composé en utilisant avoir comme un verbe auxiliaire. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre comment on peut utiliser être comme un verbe auxiliaire et comment on peut écrire la phrase en passé composé. Now, when it is our is conjugated in present tense, and for all the subject pronouns, the past participle is written. Er, ir, re verbs are there, and we have already learned how to form the past participle of these verbs. Okay. Now, if it is an er verb, of course, we drop the last letter e, last letter r, and then we place the accent on the letter e. Now, we come to our main topic of today's class. If être is the auxiliary verb, what happens? Okay, être is used with 14 verbs and their derivatives, and also with reflexive verbs. with all these 14 verbs and they with their derivatives, être is used as the auxiliary verbs. And not only with these 14 verbs and their derivatives, with the verb pronomino like se dépêche, s'habiller, with such verbs also, être is used as the auxiliary verb. What are those 14 verbs? These are the list of, these are the 14 verbs, the list of 14 verbs. These verbs are conjugated with être. For example, see, venir. Venir means to come. What is the derivative of venir? Revenir, which means to come. So derivative is something that comes from the main verb, that comes from another word. For the same way, partir, partir means leave, and the derivative is repartir, leave again. So all these 14 verbs and then their derivatives are conjugated with être. These 14 verbs, there are a few methods to remember these 14 verbs. Some people use a house, draw a house, and whatever happens in the house, they are, generally speaking, they are used with être. For going to the house, coming to the house, returning, coming back, uh, climbing up, all these verbs are, these 14 verbs, in some way they can be connected to a house. The other way is to know the reason why these verbs are conjugated with être. These 14 verbs and these derivatives are also known as intransitive verbs. What am I saying? Intransitive verbs are conjugated with être. What is an intransitive verb? Intransitive verb is a verb that does not take a direct object. Okay, to remember this easily, if there is a verb and after that you see a preposition, then that verb has to be an intransitive verb. Intransitive verbs, I'm repeating, intransitive verbs do not take a direct object. There are transitive verbs. Transitive verbs take a direct object. Those transitive verbs are conjugated with aua. But intransitive verbs, which are followed by a preposition, and then the nouns are written. Okay, such intransitive verbs are conjugated with être. These 14 verbs and the derivatives, these verbs are intransitive verbs. That is why they are conjugated with être. Okay, so now we know when to use être as the auxiliary verb. Okay, the example is given here. Il rentre de l'école. After rentre, de is written. So this is an intransitive verb. So this rentre must be used with the être. Être should be used as the auxiliary verb. Okay, fine then. Now we are going to take up the main topic. The topic is when we use être as the auxiliary verb, how to write compound sentences. Okay. I would like to tell you that there are 3 conditions. And these 3 conditions are very important. If we know these 3 conditions, then we will know how to write compound sentences using our as the auxiliary verb. And we will know how to write compound sentences when the auxiliary verb is être, and other conditions also we will learn. And these 3 conditions are very, very important because all these 3 conditions are invariably applied to all the 4 compound tenses. Passé composé, pluscuparfait, futur antérieur, conditional passé. For all these compound tenses, these 3 conditions are the same. They are common. Okay. Now we shall see the first condition. We shall see the first condition. What is condition number 1? If the auxiliary verb is avoir, the past participle, the main verb, which is in past participle form, that does not change. If je is the subject, dessiner. This is the past participle of dessiner. Dessiner is the past participle. If tu is the subject, the same dessiner is the past participle. For il, desine is the past participle. El also desine. So the past participle does not change if the auxiliary verb is avva. Okay, that is condition number 1. Okay, now condition number 2 is what? Now we are going to learn. Condition number 2, if the auxiliary verb is être, what happens? What should we take into consideration? If être is the auxiliary verb, the past participle should change. This is unlike the first condition. First condition is if the auxiliary verb is avva, past participle does not change. Now the condition number 2 says that if être is used as the auxiliary verb, the past participle has to change. How should it change? For that, we should look at the subject. Fine. If the subject is masculine singular and the auxiliary verb is être, past participle should be masculine singular. If the subject is feminine singular and the auxiliary verb is être, past participle should be feminine singular. When the auxiliary verb is être, the subject happens to be masculine plural, past participle should be masculine plural, and the same case with feminine also. If the subject is feminine plural and the auxiliary verb is être, the past participle should be feminine plural. Jadi, si le verbe est masculin singulier et le verbe auxiliaire être, le participe passé doit être masculin singulier. Et le sujet est féminin singulier et le verbe auxiliaire est être, le participe passé doit être féminin singulier. Et si le sujet est masculin pluriel, le participe passé doit être masculin pluriel, comme ça. Si le sujet est féminin pluriel et le verbe auxiliaire est être, le participe passé doit être féminin pluriel. Okay, so this is an example. I have given you the example here. Now, je suis arrivé. Now, arrivé is one of the intransitive verbs, one of the 14 verbs. So this is conjugated with être. Je suis. Now, je suis. I have written like this, je suis. Here, je can be used by a man. Then it is masculine. Then the past participle should be masculine singular. Okay. But je can be used by a female also, which means the subject is feminine singular. Then the past participle should be made feminine singular. How do we make the past participle feminine? We have to add the letter E to make it feminine singular. That is what is done here. This is arrivé. Now the same case with tu. Tu can be used to address masculine, a male and a female also. If we are talking to a male singular, then the past participle should be masculine singular. If we are talking to a woman, then it should be made feminine singular by adding E. Okay. Il. Il is masculine singular. It can't change. So past participle remains masculine singular. L is always feminine singular because it means she. So the past participle should be feminine singular. E should be added. Okay, now, no is written. No, when we say we, it can be for masculine plural. Group of men can use we, and it can be feminine plural also. A group of women also can say we. So if no refers to a group of men, which is masculine plural, then we make the past participle masculine plural. What do we do? What do we do to make a past participle plural? We add yes. Okay, to make it feminine singular, we add E. To make it plural, we add S. To make it the past participle, make it feminine plural, we add E and S. That is what is done here. Nous sommes arrivés, this is masculine plural because nous here is masculine plural. When nous is used by a group of women, it has to be feminine plural. Then this arrivé, past participle is made feminine plural by adding E and yes. Now we come to vous. Vous, we know, this is for all. Vous is masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural also. When we are talking to an elderly person, we have to give respect. We have to use polite form. We have to be polite, and formal uh, words have to be used. So who is used. This is singular. When we are talking to a group of men, there also we use who only, so masculine plural. If you are talking to an elderly woman, we are polite, so we use who for feminine singular. And if you are talking to a group of females, women, there also we use who only. So who is masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, and feminine plural. Accordingly, we make changes in the past participle. We see the context and know who is used for whom. Accordingly, we use past participle. If who is used to address one uh, elderly man, we are using polite form arrive, singular form. Okay, if you are using who to address a woman, then an elderly woman, we shall say, then we use formal form who, and we use e, because this is feminine singular. If you are addressing a gathering of men, masculine plural, then we use arrive here. If you are addressing a group of women, then we make arrive feminine plural by adding e and s. I also would like to tell here, if it is a group of both men and women, it is considered like masculine plural, we use this form, arrive, masculine plural form. Now coming to ILS. ILS we know they. It means they. It is used to uh, point out a group of men. So this has to be masculine plural, and then L. L here it is ELL ES. Okay, this is not ELLE. This is ELL ES. Okay, this is feminine plural. L is they, which is feminine plural. The subject is feminine plural. So the past participle also is made feminine plural. So what I am saying is, if the auxiliary verb is être, the past participle has to agree with the number and the gender of the subject. This is condition number 2. Okay. Now we shall see condition 3. Condition 3. Now, I have already told you that condition number 1 is this. If the auxiliary verb is avoir, past participle does not change. Past participle does not change. This is condition 1. See, past participle does not change. Condition number 2, if être is the auxiliary verb, past participle changes as per the subject. Now what I am saying is, what condition number 3 says is, even when the auxiliary verb is avoir, the auxiliary verb is avoir, the past participle changes. How, that I am going to explain now. See, first condition, A is the auxiliary verb, appreciate, does not change. E is the auxiliary verb, past participle agrees with the subject. Now this is what I am talking about. Third condition. If the auxiliary verb is avoir, in third condition, unlike the first condition, in condition 3, under certain condition, the past participle changes. Is this strange? Are you confused? No confusion at all. Easy. What I am saying is, third condition, unlike the first condition, which says that if the auxiliary verb is avoir, past participle should not change. Third condition says that even when the auxiliary verb is avoir, past participle, under certain conditions, it changes. When does it change? If for some reason the direct object is written somewhere before avoir, then past participle changes. I'm repeating. You write a sentence, the sentence has a direct object, but the direct object is not written after the verb, but it is written somewhere before the verb, before the auxiliary verb avva. The direct object is written before the auxiliary verb avva. Then past participle should change. How should the past participle change? The past participle should agree with the number and the gender of the direct object. The past participle here changes because of the placement of the direct object before avva. So the past participle agrees with the number and gender of the direct object. Remember like that. In the third condition, past participle changes even when the auxiliary verb is avva. Why does it change? Because the direct object is placed somewhere before avva. It is about the placement of direct object. So the agreement of past participle should be in accordance with the direct object. If the direct object is masculine singular, past participle should be masculine singular. If the direct object is feminine singular, past participle should be feminine singular. If the direct object is masculine plural, past participle should be masculine plural. If the direct object is feminine plural, past participle should be feminine plural. See the example here. Il y a trois comédies qu'il a emprunté. Emprunté means he has borrowed. What has he borrowed? He has borrowed three comedies. Three comedies, plural form, right? Direct object. This direct object is written before avva here. In this sentence, three comedies is still the direct object here. But the sentence structure is such that the direct object is placed before avva, somewhere before avva, which means it has to follow the third condition. Direct object is placed before avva through a comedy. So this past participle agrees with the direct object. Direct object here is feminine plural. So this past participle is made feminine plural. Il y a trois comédies qu'il a emprunté. This is what one has to know when we use compound tenses. Quickly, I am telling you, condition number one, if the auxiliary verb is avva, past participle does not change. Condition number two, if the auxiliary verb is être, past participle should agree with the number and the gender of the subject. Condition number three, if for some reason direct object is written somewhere before the auxiliary verb avva, then unlike the first condition, past participle changes. How does it change? It changes according to the number and gender of the direct object, which is placed somewhere before avva. These are the three conditions you have to remember when you write a sentence in any of these compound tenses, whether it is passé composé, pluscup parfait, conditional passé, or futur antérieur. These three conditions have to be invariably applied. Okay, this is what today's class was about. We have come to the end of this class. So we shall learn a lot more in the other classes, in the forthcoming classes. Au revoir. Merci. 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 Au revoir. We shall meet in the next class. Salut.